Today I'm going to evaluate the Fox wood lathe, model number W1752. It's a 10-inch benchtop wood lathe, and I purchased this about 2 months ago. I really like this lathe. However, there are a couple of problems that I've encountered since purchasing this. One of them is, I hope you can see this here, this knob. You turn it to release the pressure on the motor, which decreases or increases the tension on the belt, allowing you to change the belt on the various pulleys, which of course changes the speed of the lathe. The problem that I encountered was this knob vibrated out, and I tried to put it in myself, but I couldn't do it. I had to take it back to the place where I purchased it and have the professionals put it back in. I have learned since then to turn the knob just a little bit to release the pressure of the motor, or the weight to the motor, up or down, and then tighten this pretty much hand tight. One of the problems that I still continue to encounter is, as I'm working on my lathe, I have to check this periodically because it continues to vibrate out. I have to tighten it continuously. The other problem that I had was with my tool rest. This came with two tighteners, one on each side, and it came with two of these cheap little plastic tighteners here that would screw in, one on each side, and hold the tool rest in place. Well, what I encountered was, as I would be working on a project, the rest would sink on me, and that's not very safe. So what I ended up doing was taking these out and putting in one bolt on one side, and that seems to have solved the problem. Since I've been doing that, I have not had any problems with my rest sinking on me, so that's a good thing. I made a few things with this lathe in the last couple of weeks. This is not complete yet, but this is going to be a mug, and I will have a handle here to hold my mug, which will hold my nice cold beer, hopefully. Also, what I've been able to turn is this bowl here, which turned out pretty nice, except for I have a crack here that I need to repair, and this little goblet. They both turned out pretty nice, and I'm very happy with the results. The other problem that I've encountered is with my tailstock. This little knob here that is supposed to keep the tailstock in place, sometimes as I'm working on my project it comes up, and so the tailstock backs off from my wood piece. That too is not very safe. I find myself continuously pushing this down, and what I'm probably going to end up doing is getting something to wrap around this just to keep this from popping up on me. If I were to do this again, I would probably purchase something with more power. 1/3 horsepower does a really good job, but I would have liked more power. I do have 1 horsepower electric motor that someday I plan on putting back here, getting a longer belt and using that as my power source instead of the 1/3 horsepower that's down here. To show you what 1/3 horsepower can do on a piece like this. I'm not pushing very hard on the material, and yet it slows down considerably. This is probably a great lathe for doing pins or smaller objects, but when you want to do large pieces like this or even larger, you could still do it, I'm sure, and I'm going to attempt to do it, but the the pieces just seem to really slow down considerably when you try to dig into it. So having said that, there is still a good amount of power in this little lathe. Again, overall, I would say that the ShopFox W1752 is a good lathe, especially for beginners. I know that I am going to really enjoy this hobby, so I will probably do something, like I said, either increase the power to 1 horse or get myself a different lathe that has a larger motor in it, more power.